New Yorkers just keep on getting screwed. This time is not by the man dummy, it's by Kathy Hochul. New York has 318,000 people who work off of tips. That's your servers, bartenders, delivery drivers. Trump just made $25,000 worth of tips tax-free on your federal return. So you're going to get that money back. But New York, Kathy Hochul and Albany said no. Your tips are fully taxed by the state. That's hundreds, even thousands of dollars every year that they're not going to give back to you. But you got to wonder why. See, New York spends billions on undocumented immigrants and they're running a deficit. Nearly 700,000 live there. 25,000 are on full state Medicare, up to 480,000 on emergency Medicaid. They're in shelters, healthcare, free K through 12 education. That's $2 to $4 billion a year. So New York can fund that, but they won't give tip workers relief on their own earnings. You work doubles, weekends, and holidays. Why aren't you the priority?
Some states in America are not allowing Donald Trump's no tax on tips or overtime to be available to their citizens. So you probably remember earlier in the year when Donald Trump passed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, in which it had no tax on tips and no tax on overtime at the federal tax level. And although at the federal level you won't be taxed on your overtime or your tips, a lot of states run by governors like these right here are still going to be taxing your overtime and tips on the state tax level. Only 8 states in America are on track to allow their residents to be fully free from taxes on overtime and tips starting next year. However, places like New York, Illinois, California have declined to extend the state level tax breaks, citing that they would be losing billions in dollars of potential budgeting. Now, the states that are automatically taking in the federal tax is South Carolina, Iowa, North Dakota, Idaho, Montana, and Oregon. So if you don't live in one of those states I just mentioned, you will still be taxed on your overtime and tips at the state level unless your governor approves this law starting on January 1st.
What's going on, everybody? I appreciate you guys pulling up today. Thank you guys so much. We got to talk about this, right? You have a lot of Democratic voters out there that supported Kamala Harris, supported Biden, supported Barack Obama, and they believe that the Democrat Party, they still believe that the Democrat Party is the party for the working class, party for the little man, party for the poor. And they are showing you that they're everything but. This should be a no-brainer for every state across the country. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. All of these people, they talk about affordability. Gavin Newsom, he's trying to run for president in 2028, and he's discussed affordability. Here's an opportunity to put more money in people's pockets, and these people are declining. They're declining to put more money in some of the poorest workers in the country. Let's just keep it a buck. If you are a server, and I have a lot of respect for my servers, my waitresses, my bartenders, so forth and so on. If you are someone that receives tips, typically, especially your servers, your waitresses, your waiters, they typically receive an hourly rate that's lower than the minimum wage because they receive tips. This would be a good way to help those people out and say, you know what? We're not going to take that money. We're going to put more money in your pocket, and we're going to allow you to fund your life. We're going to allow you to help boost the economy, because what we do know is that when most Americans get more money, what do they typically do? They buy more, they purchase more. It expands their purchasing power. That is what happens here in the United States of America. And the fact that you have states out there like New York, New Jersey, so forth and so on that are saying, nah, not so fast. We're not going to do that. These are the people that tell you we're for the little guy. Trump's for the billionaires. But here it is. The big, beautiful bill. We have the tax code that has been passed. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to see a lot of money when it comes to their tax refunds. And they would receive more if these states just got on board with this. But because a lot of your Democrat states are taking care of people that shouldn't be here, illegal immigrants and the likes, they feel like if we don't tax this, we're going to lose revenue. I don't know if you guys recall. Jasmine Crockett on The Breakfast Club said, hey, we just need to increase revenue. Anytime a politician tells you they need to increase revenue, it's not by a product that they're going to sell. They want to take more money from you and I. Simple as that. That's the only mechanism that they have. Now, we have a president and administration that has said, hey, we need to increase revenue. We're going to throw tariffs on it. The Democrats are fighting, and they have fought tooth and nail to keep that from happening. So much so that there's a case right now in front of the Supreme Court potentially blocking us receiving additional money via tariffs. But they're okay with taxing you into oblivion. It's ridiculous. I got so much more to get into. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts on this. If you live in one of these states, the midterms are extremely important, and you better not have a short memory. You have to remember who is taking the money from you. Pritzker, Newsom, what's her name? Gavin Whitmer up in Wisconsin, I believe that's where she's at. You got Hochul out in New York. Don't forget the people that have decided that we got to take your money. As a matter of fact, if we get an opportunity to do so, we want to take more from you. Let's keep going.
It's disgraceful. People live off of tips. So for her to do that is just, it's disheartening. It's upsetting. I'm Zoe. I work at the Embassy Diner for 2 years. It's very disappointing. I was looking forward to that when the president was running, so it's a little disappointing. It's all my livelihood. Really, we live off of tips, so getting taxed on them and losing money is definitely a big hit, and it makes living a little bit more difficult. And now knowing that it can't happen in New York is a little frustrating. Frustrated? It's like losing money, so it's hard, especially when everything's so expensive in life right now, and you know, that's my livelihood. That's how I eat. That's how I feed myself and my family. So maybe a couple hundred, close, to like 1,000 possibly, depending on the hours put in also. My mother's been a waitress for 30 something years, and she took care of 5 kids waitressing. So now knowing, if we were to go back and we were younger again and she was leaving the taxes on tips, it would have really affected mine and my siblings' lives growing up. So it's very upsetting. We've been in the restaurant business our whole life, so this is just what we know as diners. My father owned diners, my mom's parents own diners. This is our family's business.
Yeah, think about it, man. Think about it. You have people out there that depend on these tips. This is their livelihood. And shout out to them. For those of you guys that go out to restaurants, bars, so forth and so on, make sure you're doing, if the service is good, make sure you properly tip people like this young lady right here. Again, I got to say it. The Democrats keep telling us they are the party for the working class, but they keep showing us that they are the party for the illegal immigrant. That's what they're showing us. Can we start judging the tree by the fruit that it bears? Meaning, can we just look at their actions and judge accordingly? Stop listening to what they have to say. Just judge their actions. Again, you better not have a short memory when these midterms come roll around.
On tips and overtime, there's a max reduction for tips. It's $25,000. So imagine if you are somebody who uses tips as part of your salary or to make your living, that will have an impact. The senior deduction, you have to be 65 years old. It phases out at $75,000. But again, for people who are saying gas prices, which are lower, but that food prices are higher, that it's hard for them, that might help as well. There's a no tax on car loan interest. Now, that can be helpful, but what might be even more helpful is what they announced last week, which is they're doing away with some of the EPA rules on these car and fuel mileage. That actually will help bring the cost of cars down, probably even more. And then a child tax credit expansion. That's very bipartisan. A lot of people like this. A lot of people love to see good economic news, but I would say Josh Holmes, our next guest here. Josh, you know communications very well. To me, economic communications is one of the hardest things. If the economy is great, everyone feels it. If it doesn't feel so great, it's hard to convince people that it's going so well. One question for you. How important is it to find the right ratio for President Trump to say, look what I inherited from President Biden, but also to look ahead at what's to come?
Yeah, well, listen, I think President Trump is doing exactly what he needs to do in terms of getting out there and selling this. You cannot let Democrats frame an affordability debate.
He's absolutely right. You cannot allow it. And we have to make sure that we nail him to the wall. As my brother, Minister Denzel, would say, we got to nail him to the wall on this. We got to call him out, and we got to showcase that, hey, the party that tells you they for you, their actions show otherwise. They're telling you they want your money. And then we're finding out that not only in Minnesota, but other places that are typically Democrat-led, you're losing money left and right because it's being stolen. All the fraud, all the waste happening in these Democrat-led cities. Could you imagine what we would uncover if we were able to really get a full audit in these cities and in these states? You would be flabbergasted what you would uncover. Seriously. So, yeah. But the messaging has to be clear. As we roll into 2026, we're a couple of days around or from that. The midterms are near. I said this about 2 or 3 months ago. We're going to be discussing the midterms a lot on this channel, in the live stream and on videos. We got to, because I know last year, 2024 was extremely important. We needed to get the president in office. We needed this administration. But this midterm, in my opinion, this might be the most important midterm elections in U.S. history. Seriously. And I'm not saying this to gaslight, and I'm not saying this to fearmonger. I am saying this because we're seeing Democrats tell you one thing, but show you something else. And we got to combat that. And if we want our country to go in the right direction, if we want the people to be able to buy homes, to be lifted from that burden of feeling like, hey, I just can't afford anything, we cannot allow the Democrats to take hold of the House, to take hold of the Senate. We can't allow it. They will fight tooth and nail to stop everything and to block everything, and we just can't allow it. These midterms are important, extremely important.
So you know that no tax on overtime and tips that you're looking forward to getting at the end of the year? Well, there's several states that's not going to allow you to deduct those taxes on your overtime and tips. Colorado, New York, Illinois, Maine, all these sanctuary states, they're not going to allow you to deduct taxes on your overtime and tips. And furthermore, even if you're not from that state, but you're working in that state, you're going to have to pay taxes on your overtime and tips on that state income. Yeah, they're claiming that the federal government has no business trying to control their tax revenue, so they're saying that they're not going to conform to that no tax on overtime and tips. They're saying that they can't afford to lose the revenue because they have too many people to take care of. Just giving y'all an update.
Yeah, it's sad, man. It's sad that we have a political party in our country that has put more emphasis on taking care of people that shouldn't be here than those that are here. These people talk about affordability. They talk about, quote unquote, lowering taxes. They talk about, allowing people or giving people the opportunity to achieve the American dream. But their policies are everything but. And I am a firm believer that when people show you who they are, you have to believe them, and we have to judge the tree by the fruit that it bears. Stop listening to what they say and start paying attention to what they do, and then hold them accountable for what they're doing. Seriously, there's a lot of people in these states out there: New Jersey, New York, Colorado, Minnesota, Wisconsin, California. I can keep going. There's a lot of people in those states that could really use that extra bit of income that would come from not being taxed on those tips or that overtime. What would that do for the economy? What would that do for their families, their children, their wives, their husbands? What would it do? But yet, you have the Democratic Party in these sanctuary cities and these sanctuary states telling you, we can't afford to lose the revenue because they have so many people that they got to take care of. When you have a demographic of people, 80% of them are on the government dole, that is a problem. And then we also find out that they are defrauding the government like it's nobody's business. That is a huge problem. We got to do everything that we can to get these people up out of office. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn those notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. Or another way to support the channel, go get you some merch. Get you one of those Pray Don't Worry shirts. Get you an ARP Sure, just representing the show and the channel. Support what we're doing over here. We're trying to bring people good news, but we're also trying to shed light on the foolishness that we find out that is happening out here in our government, especially from the Democrat Party, but we'll call out the other side if need be. Support what we're doing over here. I really appreciate you guys, all my ARP family members. I really appreciate you guys. Next week, join us Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for ARP in the morning. And as always, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Y'all take care, man. God bless. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp.